Hello, retro gamers! Welcome back to What's New on Batocera, Episode 4. We are getting seriously close to the stable release of Batocera version 43. The project has now officially entered the stabilization phase, which means the developers are going full focus on squashing bugs and polishing everything for the official launch.
For sure.
But don't think things are slowing down. Not at all. Even during this stabilization phase, we've got some really exciting updates to talk about today. There's a huge ongoing update to the Lindbergh emulator that's going to make a lot of arcade fans very happy. We've also got some fresh emulator improvements and, very important, some changes to the ROM folder structure that you absolutely need to know about. So pay close attention, because you don't want to miss what's changing in Batocera. All right, let's dive right in. All right, let's talk about Lindbergh. One of the biggest improvements comes from the new loader. It now handles full screen much more reliably, which means we can finally play games like Ghost Squad properly without display issues, and that really makes a difference. On top of that, you can now decide whether you want to display the crosshair in shooting games, depending on the kind of experience you're looking for. And that's not all. Force feedback now works on compatible controllers, so racing and action titles feel much better overall. Plus, virtual card support has been added for Initial D4 and Initial D5, which brings the experience even closer to what you'd get in a real arcade. There's still some work to be done on the Batocera integration side, but this is already a very solid step forward. Now let's move on to the Sega Triforce. For those who might not remember, the Triforce was an arcade system developed by Sega, Nintendo, and Namco in the early 2000s. It was based on GameCube hardware and powered a handful of arcade titles, including some well-known Mario Kart and F-Zero games. Recently, the Dolphin emulator officially added Triforce support into its development branch. Until now, Triforce games were running on a modified version of Dolphin, which wasn't ideal in the long term. So it only made sense to switch to the main Dolphin emulator for Triforce games moving forward. It's a cleaner and more consistent approach overall. There's still a bit of work needed to polish everything before the stable release, but things are clearly moving in the right direction. Next up, let's talk about ScummVM, and this update is really worth mentioning. The ScummVM team just released version 2026.1.0, nicknamed like a version, with a whole bunch of improvements and new supported titles. In fact, this might be one of the biggest updates they've ever done in terms of supported games and engines, with nearly 200 games now recognized. Among the new additions are some classic adventure games you might remember, including support for Out of This World, also known as Another World, which is a huge win for fans of that iconic cinematic adventure. There's also a bunch of other new games now running through ScummVM, from Darkseed and God of Thunder and more, giving you even more options to dive into classic adventure experiences. Under the hood, there have been tweaks and improvements to several engines, making the whole experience smoother and more compatible across platforms. All in all, this release isn't just about adding a few games. It's a significant step forward for ScummVM overall. And yes, we're talking about the BCC again. Not the news channel, the Batocera Control Center. We're continuing to improve the user experience through this menu, and today there's a really nice addition, the Record feature. You can now start recording your gameplay directly from your controller, without extra tools or complicated setup. Just trigger it from the control center, and you're good to go. All recorded videos will automatically be saved in the recordings folder inside your user directory, so you can easily access them later. It's a small addition, but it makes capturing and sharing your gameplay much more straightforward. All right, now I'm going to ask for your attention for a moment. Sometimes we have to make decisions that can have a bigger impact than expected. And this time, It's about ROMs folders. Our goal has always been to stay as consistent as possible, especially with projects like Retrobat, which also uses Emulation Station. In order to stay aligned and make things more homogeneous across both ecosystems, and also to make life easier for theme creators, we've agreed on standardizing certain ROMs folder names. And yes, this affects us directly. Here are the folder name changes you need to be aware of. We understand that this can be a bit disruptive, especially if you've already organized everything your own way. But in the long run, it's important that we stay aligned and use the same folder naming conventions moving forward. It will make things cleaner, more consistent, and easier for everyone in the community. All right, we're getting close to the end of this video, but I do have a small surprise for you. I'll say it right away. It won't make it into the Stable 43 release, but we're currently working on adding Lightgun support for Windows games. There's still some work to do before it's ready, but we're really excited about bringing this feature to you very soon. So stay tuned. In the meantime, enjoy Batocera, have fun with all these new updates, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.